Hello, everyone. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we are on the Business Showcase. I am Cece Schatz, the doyen of relationship building. I'm also the president of Going Solo Network, which entails this broadcast, this Going Solo Media, and also all of our other websites out there, which are all Going Solo headed up. So we are excited to bring with you today a very exciting show. But before we start, we want to do our homework, right? We want to let you know you guys can make a comment. All you have to do is just, type in a message or something like that. We can see it right here on the platform. We also would like to ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also like our podcast. So if you are catching this at a later time, please go ahead and you can make a comment if you'd like. We love it. And also, let us know that you like it. And so we appreciate that. If you want to email me, you're welcome to. My email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. I love to get your emails. It really brightens my days. So I love you, and we're going to start right away with our wonderful guest today. I'm excited to bring him on. He is the official Mr. Coffee Man, I think. And the reason I say that is because he has developed the most wonderful coffee, and it's called Tyler's Coffee. But not only that, he is a true businessman. And so we're going to hear about his journey, how he started out when he was what were you, like 14 or something like that, I think?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, started out with 14. So we have Tyler Ornstein. Is it Ornstein? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
You are. It's okay. It's been botched too many times that I just go with whatever people want to say. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we love having you. Yes, we do. Not only, what you do, but your journey. It's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, it's a long journey. It's been a 16-year journey. I tell people every time, oh, Tyler, it's amazing what you did. And I said, oh, it's just a 16-year overnight success. No worries.
Well, I think it's great. So you were about 14, and you had, let's start with the coffee, because I think it's important people know, number one, that your father developed this marvelous coffee. And tell us a little bit about the Z roasting. It's Z roasting organic process. And so that really eliminates the indigestion, bloating, heartburn, and tooth decay. So tell us a little bit about that, how you guys got together to try to make this coffee, and then how you started actually selling it.
So when I was 14 years old, my father came to me and said, what's the second largest commodity item in the world? And I didn't know. And so what I did is I did some research on Google, and come to find out, the first is oil and petroleum products, but the second is coffee. We're in a $1.6 trillion industry, which is insane. I mean, that number, the T word is just, it's mind-boggling. 1,000 billion. Anyway, we figured out when the tannic and lipid acids bloom in the roasting process. And my father, he loves coffee, and we kind of bonded over it. And he couldn't drink coffee anymore because it was too bitter, and it affected his ulcers. And so, long story short, we created this product, and not only was it benefiting us, and then we realized it could then benefit a lot more other people. So at 14 years old, I went door to door on a bicycle, and I gave out some sample packs and essentially said, hey, we'd like you to try our coffee. Can I get a name and number? And people were pretty receptive. I'll never forget this very sweet old lady. She said, that was some of the best coffee I've ever had. Where do I get it? And at the time, I didn't really have an answer for her. And I just blatantly said, from me. And she said, okay, how much is it? And I was like, $1. And that was the first official sale of Tyler's Coffees. And what it did is it light bulb moment me, and it said, okay, now we're at a test market phase. We can now go into a test production phase, and we can start doing a little bit of marketing, a little bit of advertising, and see how this really will plan out. And fast forward 16 years later, we're in 1,000 stores, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Jet. We're all over the map, and we've got about, I don't know, 30 30 offsite websites that carry our brand individually. We got distribution centers that, distribution companies that take it on, and we're doing well.
Well, that is great news. When I heard your story, I thought, wow, this would be great for our business showcase, because so many business leaders are out there. They're really working on their businesses, and this time in our lives, with what's happening with the virus, it's making it a little bit difficult for everyone. And
right.
Here you are, this 14-year-old boy, on your bicycle, pedaling, coffee, and
literally.
Yeah, and you didn't even think of any problems, right, that you might have. You just said, I'm going to sell this coffee. I'm going to do it. And I think I think we need to all kind of have that mindset that, we're going to get out there and get it done.
Yes.
And that's what you did.
So I wrote an article in my local paper, and it was about the necessity of tenacity. As an entrepreneur, you have to mindset yourself to think, I'm going to lose it all. And once you say I'm going to lose it all, and you're okay with losing it all and building it back, then you can start moving forward. And I know that sounds really, really, really weird, because most people that will get on this show will say, oh, anyone can do it. You just need to do it. Anyone can do it. You just need to do it. And I'm kind of the opposite. I'm kind of the cynic in this whole entire self-help lifestyle, I guess is the best way to say it. And that not anyone can do it. We've seen it time and time again. Businesses have failed because of mismanagement, undercapitalization, not know-how, not having the know-how. And so you can't eat a pizza in one bite. You gotta slice it up, right? That's why there's slices. And so when you start building a company, you start building a brand, you start building an idea, you start building a concept, you start building a following base, your flock, and you gotta start with a test market. And if you don't think that you can just go out there and sell something to anyone and for any price, you're gonna get slapped with a real dose of reality.
Yeah, absolutely. It amazes me because it's really the energy that you have, and in business. And I think that you definitely have that energy. You have that where I'm going to make it happen. And
yeah,
that's really that. I mean, you've got to have that in business. And, even myself, so many times, I could have easily pulled the plug and, been Susie Homemaker and not worried about what I'm doing. But, I love what I do. You love what you do, right? You got to love it.
And another thing is people are inherently good. And I love that about people. And I am too. But when it comes to business, I am a transactional machine. And so unfortunately, we had someone leave the company that was pretty substantial positioned. And my staff was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And what's going to happen? And I was like, we're going to fill that position. And they're like, well, what about? And I was like, no, we're going to fill that position. End of story. And they're like, well, what about her? I mean, should we feel bad for her? And I was like, no, she made her decision. And I think that's the thing is like, when someone starts a company, and they're me, myself, and I, one-man band, and then they build out this business, and then they hire people, and these people are doing things on a daily basis, and then one day they just make a life change, right? Most entrepreneurs, small business people, get really emotionally attached, and that's kind of what I'm trying to tell your listeners is can't. Just have to cut it, walk away, find a new person to fill that position.
Mm-hmm. And I get that. I totally get that. I mean, I've had a show myself that was kind of like that, and I just said no more, not doing it anymore. So, well, yeah, and because it wasn't good, it wasn't good for our environment, you know, and so it's the same thing with your work environment. You know, you have to look at different things like that. So when you're looking at business itself, so we're putting the business hat on you because you're really good at business. I mean, you've started at 14 and you've gone this far, and you're very successful at what you do. If you could give some pointers to our audience about maybe structuring their business, what would you suggest?
Paperwork is a necessity of an evil. You know, people don't like to do paperwork, and I'm right there with you. I hate paperwork. I think red tape is the worst thing you can ever invent, really. But you have to do it. So I like to use it depends on the stage of where they're at, right? So you've probably heard of the terminology in revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in revenue, it's a whole different ballgame, because then you can just hire people to do jobs and hire your weaknesses and not your strengths. But we're talking about inception, right? We're talking about the infancy of a business concept. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. So if that's the case, everyone wants to do the sale. Everyone wants to make the money. Trust me, 100%. I'm on board with that. No questions asked. There is one thing, though. You need to make sure that you have your LLC. You need to make sure that you have your articles of incorporation. You need to make sure that you have, you know, your tax CPA person. And the reason why I say that is it's kind of like building this beautiful skyscraper, but on sand.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to implode.
Yeah.
And I imploded. I mean, I did it the complete opposite. So I'm trying to tell your listeners, don't take my fault. Learn from my mistake, and yeah, do the paperwork. It's important.
Yeah. Get your all of your things together. Now, when you start building a team, what would you suggest? Should you start out? How should you start out building a team?
It depends. I mean, we have built out a sales team. We're very good at it. And you know, nothing happens without profit. That's just reality. So, but when you want to build bigger, you want to get like an APAR, and you want to get social media, and you want to get this. I'm really of the big aspect of hire slow, fire fast. If they're not going to work in your company, then they're a cancer, and you need to cut it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. So, you know, to me, I think the essence of a business is marketing, and so many people put that as like the last thing. You know, they do, like you said, they do the paperwork, they have to get all their ducks in a row, everything working, but then they drop the ball on the actual marketing aspect of it. And sales is huge. So that's your bread and butter is your marketing.
Actually, I'm gonna have to disagree.
Okay.
So marketing is, in my book, used once you're an established business.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to spend marketing dollars on something, let's put it this way: if you don't know how to spend marketing dollars, it goes like you're at the casino. I mean, it's just gone. It never comes back, and you never see it again. And so people go, oh, we need marketing dollars. Why? That's the first thing I say if I'm going to talk to a business owner. Oh, we need marketing dollars. Why? Well, duh, we need to get our product out there. Okay, why are you not getting your product out there by social media, viral posts? Why are you not building, you know, a test market where you're handing out? I would rather hand out, we did this. I would rather hand out free coffee than pay money to market my coffee. Because once the customer tries the product, they have this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more than any marketing dollar you're ever going to spend. Word of mouth is by far the best way to sell. There's not a single other way to sell better. And then when you get into the millions of dollars, then you allocate a budget and you say, okay, we're going to allocate $60,000 a year in the marketing spend. And that's just kind of just to keep people aware of the brand. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you is I didn't use a marketing dollar for 8 years, maybe 10. What I would do is I would use my marketing dollars and I'd buy more coffee and give it out for free to influencers to promote the brand. Or I would give it out to customers. Like we did this one thing back in the day where you buy one coffee, you get one free. The only difference is we won't send the other bag until you put a review on Google.
That's very good. But isn't that marketing? I mean, when you talk about social marketing, I think there's different levels of marketing. And so
yeah, I'm saying don't go to AdWords and put your credit card into the account and say, I want to bid for this keyword at this dollar amount.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But if you're going to, it's called guerrilla marketing, right? And so you take the product that you're trying to sell or service you're trying to sell and you give it away. And people go, well, how do you make money on that? That's stupid, Tyler. And you go, yeah, no, I know that's stupid. That's why you allocate the amount of money that you're going to put in marketing dollars into that, because that's going to come back then tenfold.
Right. To me, that's really about the connection, right? You're making the connection with the people. And like you said, word of mouth is huge. It's to me, that's the best. That reviews and all of that is the very best that you can get. So that's excellent advice. Excellent advice. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So when you were distributing, because you've managed to get your product in some major lines now, Walmart and Amazon and all these places. How did you start your distributing, being able to get the product out there like that?
So it took about 50 calls to get into natural grocers. It took 50 calls to get a call back from natural grocers.
Yeah.
If you're not beating down their door, then they don't know you exist.
Yeah. So what you're telling us is just be persistent with it. Just keep.
To a level of kind of, God, that kid is annoying.
Yeah. Did you have to send out your coffee to be tried? Did you send out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've spent probably over the life of the company $200,000 in samples.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you've done a lot. So what we're going to do is let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk about the coffee itself. Okay. Let's talk about why it's so different than just your normal coffee out there, and because I want people to know the difference between your coffee and other coffees, and really the whole idea of it. And I want to thank you so much for sharing some of your tips on business, because I think it's very important for those out there that are in business. So we're going to just take a quick break, everyone. So you guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we're just going to have a moment of silence so our affiliate stations can drop in their advertisements and their connections so that we can continue on with our marketing. So just one moment. All right. Thank you guys so much for that moment of silence. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Business Showcase. I am your host, CC Schatz, the doyen of relationships and the president of Going Solo Network. We have a wonderful guest with us today. I'm very excited to bring him here. Empowering story of Tyler's Coffee with our guest, Tyler Ornstein. And he and his father developed this wonderful coffee. And so let's talk a little bit more about this segment of the coffee itself. It's really actually a healthy coffee breakthrough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So thank you so much for having me back. And to your listeners, it's extremely important that you listen to what I'm going to say and not about what the product is.
Okay.
Frankly, I don't care if you buy my coffee. I know that sounds hilariously funny because most people are like, oh, I really want to talk to you about this product. It's your choice, right? At the end of the day, for me personally, let's take business out of this. For me personally, what is the most important thing in your life? Okay, think about that. Let me tell you what it is. It doesn't change. It's health. I can't love God. I can't love my girlfriend. I can't love my business. I can't love life. I can't support anything unless I'm healthy. So that being said, it's extremely important that you stay healthy. How do you stay healthy? An alkaline body is a healthy body. Well, what does that mean? It means that there's not inflammation. So people that have inflammation in their bodies have a higher chance of harboring cancer cells at 80%. That's why we have a pandemic of cancer. It's extremely important that you understand that. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that you should eat less red meat. You should eat less dairy. You should eat organic food when at all possible. And you should eat more plant-based because it's an alkaline diet. But there's one thing. Coffee is very acidic in its own nature. It has tannic and lipid acids. This is a product that we don't bloom the tannic and lipid acids, so we yield a neutral pH, and so that in the morning, you don't have those reverse side effects that you would have in your normal coffee.
You know, I don't drink coffee myself because I find it very bitter. I find that it, you know, all the things that you're saying, but your coffee, from what I'm reading, it doesn't have that effect at all. That it is actually acid-free coffee, and you know,
world person only.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that that's very important to us. And so, tell us some of the other things. Like you also you talked about the huge coffee market. What about the David and Goliath battle regarding the wage and the industry giants for the shelf space? What do you struggle with that on the shelf space to be able to get your product out there?
No, we struggle in keeping inventory. So we have a nickname at Tyler's Coffees, and I think the customers started to nickname it. It's the back order coffee. So we have more coffee that's consumed than we produce. The demand is higher than the supply, and we're working on it. We're working on it diligently, and we're working on it pretty much every day to make sure that we don't go in a back order, because we do not like the back order situation at Tyler's Coffees. That's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. And so we do very well on the shelf. Once people see, so let's go back. So Natural Grocers, when we were talking about onboarding, they said, so Tyler, we put it on our shelves. We give you shelf space, but how do we get your coffee off the shelf and into the customer's basket? Before COVID, I said, well, it's very simple. All you have to do is do a passive demo in the front of the store where you have an air pot, you have cups, you have a bag of Tyler's Coffees, and we have info cards. And they were like, that's it? I was like, that's it. And they're like, okay, well, we'll test it in 20 stores and see what's going on. They did that. We're now in all of them. And what that means is the customer tried it, the customer liked it, and the customer talked about it. Tyler's Coffees is becoming not mainstream, but it's becoming a cult classic. And I'd rather be a cult classic than a mainstream, because I'm building a cult of people that are actually, you know, unbelievably diehard about Tyler's Coffee.
Yeah, I just find it really interesting, and I know that, you know, I take care of my father, who's like 87, drinks coffee every day.
Okay.
Every day of his life, right? He's drank coffee, but now, you know, his body's changing. Things are, you know, happening within him. And when I was reading about your coffee, and I thought, gosh, you know, I think this would be a lot better for him to be able to
hands
drink
down.
this. And
Hands
so,
down.
for all of us, I mean, all of us that need that pick me up, and so many people are going to coffee. So what about when you say, are you in Starbucks? Is your coffee in Starbucks, or do they make their own coffee? And that might be a stupid question. I do apologize if it is.
So Starbucks is their own roaster. Yeah.
They make their own. They make their own coffee. Well, they need to wise it up and get your coffee over there because I think your coffee.
Yeah, you know that's the thing about Tyler's coffees is we'll never be mass market. We take the utmost care. What I mean by that is we single source our coffee, okay, which means it's a smaller plantation, but we have enough supply right now. We also screen our coffee to only AAA screen. What that means is there's no impurities in the coffee. Like there's no wormholes, there's no deformities, there's no color mismatch, there's no rust, there's no issues. It's the best of the best. And then because it's from a USDA farm, we're USDA certified, and then we go through a USDA process. Then we go through a 200-step roasting process. And each bean is individually roasted for perfection by using microprocessors and computer technology. Then it goes into a packaging system which uses the highest Mylar level bags for freshness. Then we've invented a degassing system where we actually purge the coffee with nitrogen so it suffocates out the oxygen so there's no oxidation in the coffee.
Wow, that's something. So it goes through a lot of steps before it gets to us, the consumer. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. And that's why the consumer loves it. And we have a 96% batch-to-batch consistency. We have the highest batch-to-batch consistency in the coffee industry.
That's great. Well, you guys you've offered us, the listeners here, a discount. And so I want everyone to know about it. A 12-ounce bag of regular blend or decaf or 12-cup single-serve packages is $21.99. So we just go on the website, which is Tyler's Coffees, plural.com. And and then there's a coupon there. And also
they have to use Tyler 2020.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
At checkout you have to put, when it says it has a it doesn't say coupon, but code. You just type in all lowercase Tyler 2020.
Let me write that down so they have it. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
And that will give you 20% off your first order.
Okay, so it's right here. Is it Tyler's with an S, right? Tyler 2020.
No, Tyler, Tyler 2020. All lowercase. I racked my head around what was a very easy to remember code, and Tyler 2020 sounds pretty. Okay,
so there you go, Tyler 2020. So you go on the website, and there is the website here, right here. So make sure you guys have it. It's tylerscoffees.com, and you just put in Tyler 2020. Now, you guys, this is a healthy coffee. This is something that is better for you. And so, you know, we're out there spending money on coffee, spending money on products that is not good for your body. So, and we want to live longer. You know, we're in the day now where we have to start thinking about it, especially a lot of our viewers are in the last quarter of their life. You're big coffee drinkers. So now it's time to switch out and make something.
And here's the other thing is, you know, people say, oh, well, that's expensive. And I go, yeah, no question. I agree. It is expensive. I mean, we take the utmost care. We do a 200-step roasting process. We do what you get what you're paying for, right? But I also tell people you don't have to drink 6 cups a day. You can drink 2. And I'm like, well, why is that? And I'm like, because we don't artificially powder in the caffeine. So you know, normal coffees are like this: a spike. So it's spike, right? You get your amphetamine, and then it drops. And when you drop, sends dopamine signals to your brain, say, oh, I'm getting tired, I'm getting sluggish, I need another cup of coffee. Tyler's Coffees is natural. So you get this very, very constant, but not jittery, and then it just slowly brings you down.
Ooh, that's very important to know. Yeah, definitely, because we do have that spike when we have caffeine, you know, in our system, and it does give you jitters. And often, you know, if you're starting to have other health issues, that can create a lot of problems. So, Yeah, definitely. So right here, I've given the website again, tylerscoffees.com, and then the email. If you want to email Tyler, it's right there, Tyler, Tyler, at tylerscoffees.com. And I'd like to also put up some of your Facebook information. So you've got a couple different Facebook pages. You've got the Tyler's Coffee there, and also your private one. You got Twitter and your Instagram account. So if you guys want to connect,
Oh man, I have to say, on my personal account, I'm pretty political, but hopefully they will see the value in what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's mainly about connecting with you guys. So the most important thing is to do that. I love your story. I just thought it was so fascinating. Most people drink coffee every single day of their life. And so if they can get coffee that's, healthy for them, that it's something that would improve their system, that's what it's all about. We admire you for starting your life, your career in business at age 14, and really moving forward into a very successful business. So hooray for you. So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's great to see that. And so that's very, very important to all of us to support each other in business. So you guys, with doing that, rush on out, go to the website, which is tylerscoffees.com. Put in your code for Tyler 2020 and pick up your 20% discount. So I think that would be a great thing to do. So thank you again for being on the show. Is there any closing words you'd like to say?
I will close with this. If you want to succeed in business, there's only one thing that you will ever need to succeed, and that's work.
Spot on with that, and maybe a good cup of coffee.
And well, of course, a good cup of coffee. But seriously, the 5-hour work week, if you're reading that book, don't read it anymore. It will not get you there. If you're trying to live a dropship lifestyle, might get you some money. It's not. Here's the problem: is it's not a longevity business. You gotta work, and you gotta put your hours into it. And the more money you put into the quick rich get schemes, like what I like to call them, the more money you're going to lose. There's so many open resources out there that are absolutely 100% free. It's called google.com. I don't know if you've heard of it. Just Google things that you really want to get to know. Don't spend a single dollar, because a lot of things out there are free. And then when you're ready to sit down and figure it out, commit that you're going to work 30 to even 60 hours a week. And if you can't make that commitment, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and just go get a job.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I would add is that you really need to do something you love doing, because if you love doing, if you do have that passion for it, when you're putting in those many hours, you don't realize it. I know.
No, exactly. You don't realize. Yeah. Definitely don't get in a business that you don't like. That's the worst.
Absolutely. Got to have passion for what you do. I know I get up in the morning really early, and then I realize, oh my gosh, I need to go to bed. So I got to stop.
And you're loving what you do. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have that passion, it'll carry you through. So it's a joy. It's a joy to have you on. I'm looking forward to see what do you have in the future? Are you just going to keep on doing the coffee? Or is there some other line you're going to bring forward, or anything out there that you're
We've been contemplating with some things. We have K-Cups, which we brought in about 5 years ago, which was really a big deal. It was more of a demand than a desire. But the K-Cups do very, very well. We have a couple things in the pike. We don't really know exactly where we're going to start launching products. We're a very conservative company, and so we've created 6 SKUs, and we just mass produce 6 SKUs, and we have an 80% retention rate on our customer base. So we're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about connection, right? It's all about the connection you have with the people, the connection you have with your product, and it truly is. And it really doesn't matter what product you have, whether it's, like you said, sales or service, you have to definitely have that connection.
I sincerely agree on that. I sincerely agree on that. You have to build a value to your customer base. No question.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's been a great show. I want to thank you so much for being on here with us. We appreciate it. And we'll look forward to things in the future with you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay, thank you. Well, everyone, gosh, the time went by so quickly. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Business Showcase. I am your host, CC Schatz, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place. Bye for now.